Hello. So far, we are able to run our Node.js server called the Gemini API. We got the response from the Gemini AI, sent it as a one single response object, and then we refactored it to send the response as an event stream. We verified it in the Postman extension where we sent a message and we can see the information is sent into the chunk. In this video, we will create a front end in Angular and we will try to call the same API and see in the output. So I have already built one application for this and we will just walk through the output and the code. So here is the simple Gemini kind of chat UI, a very simple one, but here we want to focus on the functionality than the UI. So what we will do is we will pass the same question to the UI chat that we are passing to the Postman. So now I have put my question here, the same, give me a report of at least 15 lines about AI development. And let me send now. So here is my network tab where I want to inspect how chat API is calling and how its result is sent. So as you can see, the first pre-flight is done and now there is a chat and you can see the output now. If you notice, it was not a single object. It was like a stream of the response. Let me change it to something else. Now make it a story of 50 lines with some creativity. The goal is that I want to have more data so that we can see the effect. Let me refresh actually so that we can have the fresh response and request. So let me send this one and it's calling the API. API is still pending. And now let's see what happens. And we're getting the data now. Okay. So let's open this request. And if you notice here, we have the payload and event stream. And this is what makes it like a typing effect. So here we are not using some CSS trick to show that is being typed. You can see here the response is sent into a chunk, and in Chrome's event in network tab, you can also see whenever there is a header set. If you remember, we set this header called app content type is a text event stream. That is why we are able to get, like here we call this chat and here is applic content type. So based on that, Chrome decide, okay, if it is an event stream, I will show this tab. And here you can see that we are getting this data in these kind of messages and they are sent to the UI like this. Okay, and we can just walk through the code now. So what is happening here? Okay, so what do we have? We have a chat container application. In chat container application, we have two components, chat input, that is this one. If we notice the selector here, this is our chat input component, and there should be a component called message list. Yeah. So we have two components here. And let me go to the Angular code again. So when we are in the chat input, user types something in this content area and press on the send button. We call message service.send message. And in this message, we are calling Gemini service here, which is a regular Angular service, just named as a Gemini service, nothing special here. Is calling our API chat here. But the trick is we're not calling HTTP client here. We are calling fetch. Because when you have an event stream, the HTTP fetch doesn't work. It just takes the response in one goal and just send it over. However, with newer version, it's being supported. But since we want to keep this as a backward compatible, we have this example with observable calling API using fetch. and fetch supports event streaming. So that's why whenever there is a data from API as a stream, the fetch will get invoked, an observable will have the new data, and that data will be, whoever is consuming that, he will get notified. And that's why in the UI, we are able to see that there was a chat effect. Like, tell me about a different topic. And then there might be, now there is another response being sent now. Here, you can see here, the response is sent here. So what we do, we call this API and we call the send message. So this is how it works. Now the question is a message list. If we go back to our container, we have the chat message list. And here we are calling message service.get messages. And get messages is returning the array of message entries, but as a signal. So it's a new construct of signal, not observable. And this message is here. It's defined on a service level. When we call the Gemini service, we get a subscribe, and that subscribe, whenever there is a next data stream output, we take the response and we concatenate it with this Gemini content and we update our signal. And when we update our signal, the component get notified and the rendering happens here. If you notice, there is no change detection dot detect changes or anything because we are using signal based approach here. So that's pretty much it. The whole code is a little bit more boilerplate because of the style and some stuff around it. But the core important part is this one, like how to call the API with the fetch and observable and how to concatenate them and show it to the UI. Thank you.